Beloved friend, draw close and let every other sound grow quiet, for what I'm about to share is not a lesson from a book or a story borrowed from someone else's memory. It is the very heartbeat of heaven calling to you. There is a life waiting for you, a life so rich with peace, so strong with joy, so radiant with the presence of God, that once you taste it, you will never again be satisfied with ordinary existence. It is the life of holiness. Do not picture a cold room of rules or a face set hard against delight. Picture instead a garden at dawn, the air alive with fragrance, the dew unspoiled, the sunlight warm on your skin. Holiness is that garden, freshness untouched by corruption, beauty free from shame, a place where heaven and earth meet and walk together. Perhaps you have chased many things already. You have reached for success, and though your hands have held trophies, your soul still aches. You have searched for love, and even when arms held you, a hollow remained. You have gathered possessions, but their shine faded before the day was done. I tell you with the certainty of one who has watched countless hearts awaken. The longing that will not leave you is not for more things, more applause, more experiences. It is for the presence of the Holy One. Only His nearness fills the space inside you. Only His purity can quiet the restless noise that no music can drown. Only His friendship turns life from survival into a song. Do not imagine that this call is for the perfect or for saints whose faces glow in stained glass windows. This call is for you, for the student wrestling with secret doubts, for the mother whose prayers have grown weary with waiting, for the worker who smiles at the world while carrying a private grief, for the man or woman who wonders if the mistakes of yesterday have already written the final chapter. Hear me. The invitation of God does not wait for you to clean yourself first. His holiness is not a prize for the flawless. It is a gift for the willing. The moment you turn, the moment you whisper even a trembling yes, His arms open wide and His cleansing begins. Grace is not a drop of water for the deserving. It is an ocean for the desperate. I have seen this transformation with my own eyes. I have watched a man hardened by bitterness soften in a single evening when he dared to open the locked door of his heart. I have seen a woman whose past was marked by betrayal stand radiant and free because she finally believed that the blood of Jesus is stronger than every scar. Holiness did not make them strange or distant. It made them alive. Their laughter rang clearer, their eyes shone brighter, their steps carried a weight of peace that no circumstance could steal. This is what awaits you, not a burden but a freedom so profound you will wonder why you ever feared surrender. Some think holiness is merely the absence of obvious sin, as though the goal were to avoid what is dirty and hide behind walls of caution. But holiness is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is not the grim effort of staying clean. It is the overflowing life of God within you, pushing out everything that does not belong. When His Spirit fills the hidden rooms of your heart, you do not live constantly measuring how close you can stand to temptation without falling. You live captivated by a greater beauty. Temptation loses its charm because something more glorious has captured your gaze. You are not straining to resist the darkness. You are walking in a light so bright the darkness cannot follow. And oh, the power that flows from such a life. When a heart is wholly His, heaven delights to move through it. I have felt it in gatherings where one surrendered soul shifted the entire atmosphere. People came burdened with fear and left wrapped in peace. The sick found strength, the broken found courage. It was not human talent. It was the Spirit resting on a vessel kept clean for His use. This is the secret of lasting influence. Not clever words, not endless striving, but a life set apart. When God finds a heart He can trust, He pours out gifts that no stage or spotlight can counterfeit. Do not think this is beyond your reach. Holiness begins in the simplest choices, quiet decisions when no one is watching. It begins when you forgive the offense instead of nursing it, when you close your lips against gossip though the story itches to be told, when you open the scriptures before you open the phone, when you pause in the rush of your day to whisper, "Here I am, Lord, I am yours." Each small yes builds an altar. Each quiet surrender invites more of His presence. And where His presence abides, freedom blossoms. The habits that once enslaved you lose their chains. The fears that once defined you melt like morning frost. You may ask, but what if I fail again? What if I start and stumble? Beloved, holiness is not a tightrope, it is a journey. The Father is not a harsh master waiting to strike at your first misstep. He is a patient gardener tending the soil of your soul. He knows the seasons of growth. He knows how to lift the branch that droops, how to prune what hinders fruit, how to draw you closer with cords of kindness. If you fall, He does not turn away. He reaches down, wipes the dust from your knees, and whispers, "Come, walk with me again." Your weakness does not cancel His call. Listen carefully now, for this is the pulse of everything I long for you to grasp. Holiness is not the price of God's love. It is the proof that you have received it. You do not labor to earn His affection. You live wholly because His affection has already captured you. You are not climbing a ladder to reach Him. He has descended to walk beside you. The cross has already paid the cost. Your part is simply to keep saying yes, to let His Spirit fill and refill, to keep the doors of your heart open, to welcome His fire until every shadow flees. So here, at the threshold of this message, I invite you to pause. Feel the weight of His nearness even now. Let the noise inside you settle until only the whisper of His love remains. The King of Glory is drawing close, not to condemn but to dwell. He calls you to a life where peace is not fragile, where joy is not stolen by circumstance, where the presence of God is as natural as your next breath. This is the life kept holy. This is the beginning of a story more beautiful than anything you have yet imagined. And tonight, it can begin in you. Financial doors open where the heart is pure. The blessing follows the presence, not the other way around. Release thanks in advance. Thanksgiving is the key that fits the treasury of heaven. Declare before the breakthrough appears. God responds to expectation, not evidence. Speak the psalm aloud until its words feel alive in the room. It carries heaven's economy. Beloved friend, lean close for a moment. Long before the first light brushes the sky, there is a psalm waiting to be spoken, one that carries the sound of heaven's abundance. Do you feel it? It trembles like a secret beneath your tongue, ready to awaken every closed door of provision. When you speak it, not as poetry but as a living covenant, something begins to stir in realms you cannot see. I have stood in rooms where fear of lack had choked every dream, and I have watched the atmosphere change when a trembling voice dared to proclaim God's own promise back to him. Oh, the fragrance of faith! It is irresistible to the King. Speak the psalm until the words burn hotter than doubt. Whisper it when the bills shout louder than hope. Declare it when your hands are empty and your heart is heavy, for faith that waits for evidence is no faith at all. Heaven moves on the sound of expectation, and while you wait, sow gratitude like a seed. Lift your face and thank Him for the answer before it ever knocks at your door. Thanksgiving is the language of trust, and it fits the treasury of heaven like a master key. Yet remember this, dear one. Blessing always follows the presence. Guard your heart. Keep your life holy. The psalm is not a formula for fortune. It is a pathway to the one who is your portion. When your heart is pure and your lips are filled with His word, even the gates of scarcity cannot stay shut. Tonight, as you speak that psalm, picture the doors swinging wide, not because you chased them, but because the King Himself has walked into the room. Beloved friend, lean close and let your heart grow quiet. There is a psalm that does not merely speak of blessing. It carries the fragrance of heaven's own abundance. It is more than poetry, more than history. It is the breath of God wrapped in words. When you let it flow from your lips, it becomes a river that cannot be stopped. I have seen it happen. In rooms where despair had settled like dust, where fear of tomorrow had chained every thought, one trembling voice began to recite those sacred lines, and the atmosphere shifted. It was as if invisible gates began to creak open, as if the very air leaned in to listen. This is not superstition. It is the reality of a God who responds to the sound of his own word. When you speak this psalm, you are not begging. You are aligning. You are stepping into the melody of a kingdom where lack has no home. Each syllable carries a rhythm that heaven recognizes. It is the sound of trust, the language of children who know their Father's heart. You may whisper it in the dim light of early morning, or sing it over the noise of a crowded street. It does not matter where you are. The power is not in the setting, but in the surrender. I remember standing beside someone who had lost everything: job, savings, even the confidence to hope again. We sat together in silence until the Spirit nudged us to speak the psalm aloud. At first, the words were heavy, stumbling out between tears. But as they continued, something broke. The words turned into a song, and the song into a declaration. Within days, doors that had been bolted for years began to swing wide. Opportunities appeared like sudden rain after a drought. And no, it was not coincidence. It was the echo of a God who honors his promise. The world will tell you that money comes only through effort, strategy, and endless toil. But there is a realm where provision begins in worship, where financial doors respond not to panic but to praise. This psalm calls you into that realm. It reminds you that the provider is greater than the provision, that the source is more reliable than the stream. When you speak it, let it settle deep. Do not rush. Let each line roll over you like waves, washing away the grit of worry and the sting of scarcity. Perhaps you wonder, can words truly change my circumstances? Oh yes, when those words carry the life of God. He created the universe with speech. His voice framed the stars and stretched the seas. And now he invites you to join the song, to let his promises shape your reality. Your confession is not empty sound. It is agreement with eternity. It is the key that fits doors no human hand can open. But listen carefully. The psalm is not a charm. It is not a spell to summon wealth. It is a meeting place, a holy ground where you and the Almighty walk together. The blessing is a byproduct of the presence. Do not chase the gift and forget the giver. Keep your heart pure. Let the words draw you closer to him first, and trust that every need will find its answer in that closeness. So tonight, as you stand at the threshold of uncertainty, lift your voice. Speak the psalm as if the King himself is in the room, because he is. Speak it until your fear begins to bow. Speak it until your faith grows taller than the mountain of bills. Speak it until the atmosphere around you hums with expectation. For the God who opened the Red Sea still opens doors today. The God who fed thousands with a few loaves still multiplies what you place in his hands. Oh, and the God who breathed these words will breathe on your life as you declare them. Do you feel it even now? The quiet assurance that lack is not your destiny, that heaven's storehouses are not locked against you. This is the psalm of overflow. Let it live on your tongue. Let it shape your tomorrow. And as you speak, watch the impossible bend beneath the weight of God's unshakable promise. Beloved friend, there is a faith that will not wait for evidence, a faith that refuses delay. It rises before the dawn, while the sky is still dark, and dares to call the sun into being. Here, this is not the shallow optimism of wishing things might improve someday. It is the unshakable knowing that the God who promised is already moving. Such faith does not measure time by the clock on the wall. It measures time by the heartbeat of heaven. It does not ask, when will it happen, but declares it is already done, because it trusts the one who cannot lie. Perhaps you have been waiting for an answer so long that your soul feels numb. Every passing hour seems to whisper that nothing is changing. Yet the Spirit invites you to believe before you see, to sing before the chains fall, to speak life while the valley still looks like a graveyard. Do you remember the ancient words that faith is the evidence of things not seen? Evidence is what a courtroom demands, yet God calls your trust the only proof required. When you lift your voice and declare His promise in the silence, heaven records it as reality. I have stood beside people who thought they had reached the end, bills piling higher than hope, diagnoses that seemed final, relationships that looked beyond repair, and I have watched the power of a stubborn, immediate faith transform the atmosphere. One whispered prayer, one trembling declaration, "O Lord, I believe you now," and the impossible began to shift. Not because we earned a miracle, but because we refused to postpone our expectation. Faith like that does not say, "I will rejoice when I see the answer." It dances while the ground is still hard, knowing that the seed will break through in its appointed hour. This faith refuses to bow to the calendar. It knows that God is not late. Our delays are not His hesitation. Sometimes He waits for the sound of our confidence, the music of our trust. Think of the woman who reached for the hem of His garment. She did not schedule a meeting or wait for a better moment. She pressed through the crowd because she believed the instant she touched Him, she would be whole. And she was. Heaven responds to the urgency of hearts that will not be denied. There is a danger in postponing faith. If you wait until you feel ready, until every question is answered, you may wait a lifetime. But the Spirit whispers, believe now, not tomorrow, not after you calculate how the miracle might unfold now. True faith acts as if the answer is already on the doorstep, even when sight insists it is miles away. It thanks God in advance, turning gratitude into a doorway for glory. Thanksgiving is the language of a heart convinced that delay is not defeat. You may wonder, what if I trust like this and nothing happens? Dear one, something always happens. Sometimes the mountain moves. Sometimes you are given the strength to climb it, but the encounter with God is never wasted. The moment you choose present tense faith, you are changed. Fear loses its grip. Hope stretches its wings. The atmosphere of your life begins to align with the promises of the kingdom. So tonight, lift your eyes. Refuse the lie that says you must wait for a perfect moment. Refuse the voice that whispers that your time has passed. The author of time stands outside your schedule. He is able to compress years into a single instant of favor. He is able to breathe life into what you thought was dead. Begin to speak as though the breakthrough is already at hand. Begin to thank Him for what your eyes cannot yet see.